Alongside Clarence, McKee, J.D. Hayworth back with you from our national anchor desk here at Newsmax TV for Hour 2 of America Talks Live. Joining us via Skype from the Blue Ridge Mountains of Georgia, retired Florida Police Detective Tom Whatley. And since it's America Talks Live, we've got a lot of calls coming in. Let's go out west to Calistoga, California, and see what Wayne has on his mind. Hiya, Wayne.
How you doing, JD? And thanks for having me on America Talks Live.
Yes, sir. You're live and you're talking. What's going on?
Let me tell you, these people don't seem to have a clue how putting signs here and putting signs there, but we thank everybody who got out there and voted for Trump and made him our new president-elect. My minister, Tex Mars, out of Austin, Texas, Power of Prophecy, basically had days and days ahead of time on his website that President-elect Donald Trump would be our next president. He was all gung-ho for this president, this man that is basically going to make America great again.
Hey, Wayne, I got to ask you this. California, as we know, especially in the major metropolitan areas, with the influx, well, we don't have any more with Wayne, but I will follow up with you guys. Clarence, you hear that evaluation. You hear Wayne talk about a pastor offering, in essence, a political prophecy that Trump would do it. This election, it is impossible to overstate the surprise that so many in America, but especially within the corporate media, encountered.
Because they don't know flyover America. They know the New York. They would never see the signs that Tom saw or that the caller saw because they don't go to that part of the country. They're in New York, didn't fly over to L.A., talk to their friends in Hollywood, call each other in Manhattan, go to cocktail parties. They don't know those folks. That's why they were shocked. And the university crowd, oh my gosh, poor little crybabies. I consider all these students in college now, they're in daycare centers. I don't know what kind of parents they had, but they can't understand our system. They were shocked because they were told, we're going to win. Hillary baby's going to win this. But she didn't. So, too bad.
Tom Whatley, let me turn to you because Clarence has opened up a whole new kind of, not can of worms, but a topic to discuss. The university campuses and the level of indulgence, of safe space, of coloring books, of therapy animals. What on earth has happened to our kids?
I don't know, JD. I was working 40 hours a week and attending all 120 credit hours at a major university. So I'm not sure, but the safe space, the grief counseling, if you will, for trauma. Listen, these kids are not traumatized. They're not. There's nothing shocking about it. Now, if they want to see trauma, perhaps they should visit a VA center for some of our soldiers where their legs were blown off, or they saw their buddies who were killed right in front of them. That is trauma. But when I saw that they're actually offering grief counseling to some of the college kids because of the trauma they went through over a presidential election, I got to tell you, if we don't nip this in the bud, this country is in real trouble after you and I are long gone.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Tom Brokaw wrote the book years ago, The Greatest Generation. I think we can amend that. There is greatness in every generation. And as Tom is pointing out, Clarence, the fact is, despite the pampered kids on some university campuses, you got young men and women signing up for the military who have already sacrificed, if not life, then limb. And that puts it all in perspective as opposed to the so-called intelligentsia and the elites on these leftist campuses.
You've got young men the same age as some of these spoiled kids who are in Afghanistan and Iraq driving tanks, calling in air fire. And they're about the same age. Those are the real Americans. These, I don't know, they're not yuppies. They're the kids of yuppies.
Well, I don't know if they're the kids of yuppies. They're the kids being trained. Now, this is our chance. You've hit on a cognate. So you had hippies. Then when we were coming along, Tom, there were yuppies.
And the yuppies had kids.
And the yuppies have had kids. And now I guess we could have it rhymed. They're guppies. This is it. They're guppies looking to become upwardly mobile through the involvement of government. I think we've hit on the phrase today.
And
guppies.
Food stamps.
And food stamps and having a full belly and then going out to, yeah, all that kind of stuff. Although it ain't exactly free. They think it's going to be free, but the loans are going to be something. Listen, as we open another can of controversy, we have been promising, Clarence, to get to the column you wrote as a Newsmax insider at newsmax.com. You have a provocative title. Share the headline title and then give us the thesis of your column.
It's called, thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
It's called The Election's Biggest Losers, Blacks. Oh my gosh. Now, white folks generally, and people who voted for Trump, will look around and say, if the environment, political system is not working for us, we're going to vote these guys out of power. Black folks look at the same situation, does not help them, and say, we're going to vote for the same people. We are the only group of people in the United States who are totally shut out of the White House, basically, House, the Senate, 38, the majority of state legislatures, governor's offices. Why? Because we put all of our baskets, our political bones in one basket. And I had a black friend who asked me the other night, he said, Clarence, he's a Democrat. He looked at it and said, well, I know you got 13% of the black male vote, but when you take a look at the situation where we're, again, on the losing side, I don't know whether we blacks are fools or being taken for granted. So that's the big question. Now, for the last 8 years, what has the Obama administration, Democrats, done for the black community? Nada, zero. They've done a lot for LGBT, for Hispanics, and illegal immigrants. Yet, blacks go to the polls, 93% vote for Obama, which is a greater vote than women at 42%, women who he's been protecting through Planned Parenthood, and Hispanics were about 29%, and then gays, 65%. But they were getting something. Blacks got nothing and give more votes. It's really a shame because we're left out in the dark.
And yet, politics is something where it doesn't have to be set in stone. Tom Whatley, you're mentioning the fact that you're up in a rural area of Georgia. I would wager that 3 decades ago, that area, which you described as solid for Trump, that Georgia county, probably 3 decades ago, certainly 4 decades ago, was probably a Democrat county. So things do change, and there is always a chance for change. I guess the question would be this, Tom, listening to Clarence and his lament, taking a look at his article, with that double-digit support from African-American males for Mr. Trump, can he add to that? Should we already look ahead, or is it dangerous to look ahead, just for the sake of argument? If he has a good term, he has the New Deal for blacks. Tom, I'm asking you, from your perspective, do you think Trump can add to his vote total among African Americans should he run for re-election?
Well, I sure do. Of course, it's always early in the game, but what I'd like to see from the Democratic Party, and I've got many friends high up, chairs of my local county where I live in Florida, and, you have to give the guy a chance. Now, listen, he does have one roll of the dice in this, so I think he did appeal to the African Americans. It's obvious he got more of the African American vote than Romney did or his predecessor, George Bush. So, I think he's going to do well. And remember, let's not forget this. Trump was a Democrat for a long time before he was a Republican, so he can actually think like a Democrat if he needs to.
Well, it's interesting because sports teams are thinking like leftists. We just got a report that 3 NBA teams, when they're on the road, are going to stop staying at Trump brand hotels. Your reaction to that, Clarence?
Spoiled kids again. You can imagine who it is. The Mavericks are one of them, and he was a great supporter of Hillary. Let them go ahead and do it. Then let's see who their fans, which side they take. Great story in Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers had a receiver who took his hat off and wouldn't stand for the national anthem. Got a lot of heat for it, and he apologized yesterday. Let these people start doing this and go to different cities, not in New York, not in LA. Let them go and see how many people are coming to watch their teams play, and let the seats and the tickets determine what politics can do for them. Play ball, guys. If you want to get into politics, go run for office.
Yeah, and of course, Tom, since you and I have the robust physique of guys who are ex-athletes and now avid TV watchers, maybe I'm speaking for myself here. You take a look at ESPN, they've lurched to the left. You take a look at the NFL after the Colin Kaepernick misadventure, the numbers are dropping for professional sports, and the pampered fan, Kaepernick, he didn't even vote. Mr. I'm going to make a statement by not standing during the national anthem. Your take on the NFL, Tom, about 30 seconds.
Okay, well, he was also ripped just the other day by one of the ESPN commentators, and that made national news. You know, if you're going to criticize the nation, if you're going to exercise your right to freedom of expression and speech, then you better go out and vote. If you don't vote, which, by the way, because he didn't vote, he actually did vote, if you think about it. So somebody else just replaced his vote. But I think it's shameful. I think if you work for somebody else, you're wearing their uniform, you should be with a team. The concept is team. It's not an individual sport. He's not a tennis player. He works with 53 other men out on that field, and he should stay with those 53 men.
And you guys are a great tag team. Tom Whatley from Georgia, Clarence McKee here on the desk. We're coming back with more here on America Talks Live.